Hello everybody! In this demo we will show you how to create new artifact types and what tools Glare provides for this. For all commands I'm going to use alias glare equal OpenStack artifact. Glare has several pre-installed types or blessed types. At the moment they are images, eTemplates, eTenvironments, Tosca templates and Murano packages. Each type is a Python class implemented with a framework based on Oslo version object library. All blessed types are located in Glare object folder. Let's see what we have there. When Glare API service is working, you can see all enabled artifact types by the command glare type list. All is a meta type and it's always enabled. By default, all types are enabled, but you can change this by editing Glare configuration file. The parameter that you need to change for that is enable artifact types, and it's set in etc glare conf. Let's disable images in glare conf. So we deleted images from enabled artifact types. Let's save and exit. We need to mention that Glare supports dynamic configuration reloading, so we don't have to start and stop the service. Let's show the processes, kill the first one, and then again let's do Glare type list. In the output we see that the images artifact type is now disabled. Now we are going to create new artifact type from scratch and attach it to Glare. Let's call the file example artifact and let's call the artifact type examples. So let's begin. First we are going to do some imports. We're going to import fields from Oslo version object and some other libraries that we're going to use in the next lines. Pay attention that the parent class for all artifact is version object. That also, of course, we are going to use it. We have base artifact. We are going to import attribute, glare fields, validators. We are going to show you how to use all of those in the next few minutes. Also, before we begin to create our fields, let's use wrappers. Those wrappers would help us to create our fields. So we have field, dictionary, list, blob dictionary. Blob is actually a file. Blob dictionary is just like a folder. We're going to use all those wrappers to define our fields for the artifact. Each artifact field has several common properties. We have properties such as required on activate, property like mutable, property like system, property such as sortable. All those properties help us to define the field that we want. We have also properties such as default and validators and filter operators. Let's say a few words on validators. Validators is a list of objects. When user sets a value to the field with additional validators, Glare checks them before setting the value and raises value error if at least one of the requirements is not satisfied. Another cool property is filter operators, a list of available filter operators for the field. We have 7 available operators, equal, not equal, and so on. So we're gonna define our class example artifact. Let's put version 1.0, which is recommended. We have an obligatory method that returns artifact type name. The name of the method is getTypeName. Let's return examples because we want examples to be our artifact type. In order to create our fields, All the fields are specified in fields dictionary. It is also version object requirement. So our first field is going to be my string, where we define it with field wrapper that, if you remember, we init before. And here we put different properties required on activate, filter operators, and validators. Here, for example, in the validators, you can see the allowed values that we have as values for this field AA or BB or C. We also limit the length by 10. Let's define another field. Our next field is going to be my integer. Here we can see also another usage of the validators to put the value of my integer, to enforce that the value of my integer will be between 10 and 20. Of course, you can see other properties with explanation. Our next field is going to be my bool, and we use again the field wrapper here. It is recommended to use flexible Boolean field, also version object type, instead of just Boolean field, because it has advanced coercing. Here, in addition, you can see that we use the default property to be false. If we didn't write it, this false, the value would be none. So that's the meaning of this default equal false. Another field that we are going to define is my link. My link specifies a link to another artifact. You can see here again different properties that we have for this field. Mutable equal true here means that we can change my link value after artifact activation. Also, we can add a description for the specific field. So here the description is I am the link. Another and maybe a new type of field is my dictionary of ints. You can see that we use dict wrapper, and here we use again validators, but we can also use validators for the keys inside the dictionary. So here we set the allowed keys to be ABC or DEF only. Also, we can limit the size of the dictionary, which is really cool. Another field that we have is my list of strings. It is compound type list. Here we can set here the max size to be 2, and here we can use validators. Cool thing that we have is validator is unique, so it checks that all the elements in the list are unique. It converts the list into a set of elements. Also, we have here forbidden chars that we don't allow to have in the list. Let's add another field. Let's add blob field. So the name of it will be my fancy blob. So it defines binary object just like a file. We use here the wrapper blob. Type is not really required. It is possible to limit the max size of blob with max size, as you can see here. And again, you see here again the properties, different properties that we have. And our last field will be, of course, dictionary of blobs or a folder. So we use blob dict for this field to init this field as a wrapper. The type is not required here too. We can limit here the size of the blobs. So our folder or blob dict is composed from blobs. We can limit the size of it. And here again, we use the property required on activate to be false, which means we don't have to use it for activation. Generally speaking, this is all that we need to create a new artifact. Cool, we created a new artifact in Glare. Now let's add it to Glare. For doing this, we have to install the module and update the configuration. Module can be installed with pip or any other tool. For this demo, I'll just copy it to Python system folder. Let's do sudo copy to our Python system folder. In the configuration, we're going to add additional module where Glare will look for the artifact type, example artifact. Then we're going to add artifact type name to enabled artifact. So, as you can see, we add to custom artifact types module the name of the file, example artifact. And in enable artifact types, we are going to add the name of our artifact, which is examples. One thing that we need to do is to reload Glare configuration. As before, we won't stop the process, but just send a SIGAP. So let's kill the process. And now let's do Glare type list. Great, example is in the list. Since we created a new artifact type, let's play with it for a little. To see the description of the artifact type, enter the command glare schema examples. This table is generated from JSON schema from the server. It just contains several basic properties of artifact type fields. But you can download full schema with direct API request. So let's see our token. Now we are going to use direct API request to get all the properties that we want to see in our artifact. So you can see here in detailed everything. Icon, blob details, all the things that we required. Now let's create a new artifact of this type, examples. We'll do it by glare create example with the name myExample. Now let's try to upload a file that exceeds a limit of 100 bytes. We do it by glare upload example myExample -p my fancy blob, that's the name of the field, minus file etc fstub, that's a file that I generated before. And we get the server is refusing to process a request because the request entity is larger than the server is willing or able to process, which is really good because we put validators to enforce this behavior. Now, let's try to update my string with wrong value. We'll do glare update example myExample with the wrong string. And again, we got exception. Value must be one of the following: AA, BB, or CCC. Finally, let's add wrong key to dictionary of integers. So again, let's do glare update example myExample -p my dict of ints with wrong key which is forbidden, and we got exception. Key wrong is not allowed in dict. Allowed keys values are A, B, C, D, F, and so on. Of course, you are free to play with this type by yourself after installing it by instructions from this demo. You can find the types code by this link. It is all we wanted to demonstrate it today. For sure, this is not all the features provided by Glare. Many examples we out of scope of this presentation. For example, Glare supports hooks on actions like activate, publish, or upload. It allows to extend logic of Glare and add integration with various CI systems. Also, it allows to organize data verification and conversion on the fly. In the next demo, we will show you how to extend artifact type Tosca templates and add a check that uploaded file is valid Tosca template. Finally, we are working on multiple store support where Glare will put files in different stores depending on their type, user context, and so on. It also will be demonstrated in the next demos. Thank you for watching. See you in the next demo. Bye bye. Thank you very much.